We are taught the notion that we should prioritize generosity, sharing, and giving over our personal interests. But does anyone caution us about the perils of being overly kind and compassionate? We exist in a world where we don't always receive what we give. It's filled with generous individuals who see how they deplete themselves financially and energetically through indiscriminate giving. Could excessive generosity even threaten our lives? Discover the surprising negative impacts that kindness can bring upon you. Today I will reveal the 8 consequences of being too good and introduce 4 stoic strategies to prevent people from taking advantage of you. Without further ado, let's move on to number 1. You will have unrealistic expectations of people. The Stoics emphasize the need to accept circumstances as they are and not base our happiness on the actions of others. By giving without expecting too much in return, you avoid disappointment and practice emotional detachment, leading to greater peace of mind. It's difficult to be completely selfless in our generosity. Consciously or unconsciously, when we give our all, we expect others to do the same when we need something important. However, you've accustomed people so much to having everything done for them that they'll take for granted that you can handle everything, both in their lives and your own. Why else would you take on other people's responsibilities? The truth is, your expectations of reciprocity will not be met, and you'll experience bad moods, fatigue, frustration, and disappointment. Nevertheless, if we approach it dispassionately, people aren't failing you. They're taking care of their own responsibilities as you should be. Number 2, people will only expect you to give them something. According to the Stoics, true value comes from acting in accordance with virtue and reason, not simply catering to others' expectations. Practicing moderation and giving in a balanced way allows you to maintain control over your own actions and avoid habits that erode your emotional well-being. You've heard all your life that humans are creatures of habit. Humans are programmed to adapt to routines and the symphony of things happening around them. This tendency to adapt is precisely where the concept of the comfort zone comes from. If you get used to giving all the time, the beneficiaries of your generosity will expect you to give all the time, leading them into their comfort zones, where they'll stop doing many of their obligations because you'll be there to do them. The problem you'll face is not valuing yourself, because if you don't, it's highly unlikely that someone will look you in the eyes and tell you to think more about yourself. Don't expect this empathetic act from those you help, as they would rather stick to their personal Robin Hood, which would come at a high cost to their lives. Number 3, your priorities will be trampled upon. The Stoics emphasize the importance of living in accordance with reason and virtue. Setting boundaries and prioritizing our responsibilities is essential to maintain balance and avoid sacrificing our authenticity and well-being for others. If you give your all to others' priorities, you may be running from something within you that causes you pain and fear. What emotions do you experience when you spend the weekend alone or return home every day knowing no one is waiting for you? If the cause of such distress is the desire to escape from yourself, the blow will be doubly hard. On one hand, you'll come face to face with your inner self sooner or later. On the other, your bad mood will grow as you neglect your priorities to attend to those of others. Self-care is a fundamental factor in achieving well-being. Before providing comfort to others, ensure that you feel content, pampered, and well taken care of. Never give someone chocolate without first enjoying one yourself, just as you shouldn't offer to clean a friend's house without first leaving yours spotless and enjoying a good movie with a glass of wine. You come first, then the rest of the world. Number 4, you will be seen as weak and treated as such. Stoicism encourages us to cultivate inner strength and self-control. By setting boundaries and practicing self-discipline, we can show others that we are committed to our own responsibilities and values, gaining their respect instead of being perceived as weak. If you help too much over time, you could be seen as an authority figure where you collaborate with others, but you may actually give the opposite impression. When you don't set boundaries, people start to see you as weak, like the antagonist of a leader. They'll turn to you to unload their responsibilities, knowing there's no risk of you saying no. Conversely, when you start using this magic word, they will begin to respect you in ways they never thought of before. Number 5, You'll have many acquaintances who only come to you when they need something. Stoicism teaches us to value discernment and wisdom. By using self-control and objectivity, we can recognize genuine people from those seeking to take advantage, avoiding compromising our energies in unproductive situations. Those who considered you a good friend may start excluding you from fun activities, turning to you only when they need something. From a calculating point of view, it's logical, as people don't usually invite their employees and collaborators for coffee or a beer. This situation is logical, but not fair. Therefore, you must learn to manage strategies to prevent people from using you, which I'll share with you at the end. Number 6. You'll attract only people who need and never those willing to give. Through stoic discernment, we can cultivate authentic and mutually beneficial relationships. People come into our lives in response to the vibrations of our energy. If we vibrate low, we attract negative, pessimistic people with dark spirits and non-benevolent intentions. Conversely, when our vibrations are high, we attract people full of positive energy, generosity, enthusiasm, hard work, and joy. Indiscriminate giving depletes our energy, causing us to vibrate at a low frequency, attracting needy and opportunistic people who have no intention or resources to help, only to extract what they can and disappear without even saying thank you. Number 7, you could end up falling into addiction. The Stoics promoted moderation and self-control. Practicing self-discipline and generosity helps us avoid addictive patterns and maintain a healthy relationship with our actions and decisions. When scarcity becomes part of our daily lives, the need grows, creating the best scenario for falling into addiction. Someone close to you may notice that you're drinking too much, not necessarily mineral water, eating too much, or even gambling too much. Pay close attention to what someone who cares about you might say. Your first reaction may be to get angry and shout that you don't have any problems, but this is a typical reaction of people so immersed in their problem that they can't recognize it. Always remember that people who care about you only want what's best for you. Take their observations seriously, as they are there to help you stop falling and move forward. Number 8. You'll raise suspicions. Stoicism encourages us to act virtuously, regardless of how others perceive us. By focusing on living in harmony with our principles and values, we build a genuine reputation, resistant to unfounded suspicions. Unfortunately, genuinely kind people are not abundant in this world. Therefore, if you are one, you'll raise suspicions instead of admiration and gratitude. It won't be long before people start wondering what's going on with you and what hidden intentions you might have. This doesn't necessarily mean you've encountered a group of distrustful people, but they might be realistic. Most overly keen people tend to hide such dark intentions that it's best to stay away from them and reject the help they want to provide. Now, let's look at the strategies to prevent people from using you. Strategy number 1. Listen to your feelings. They are talking to you. Based on the Stoic idea of self-awareness, pay attention to your emotions and feelings. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-reflection to understand your reactions and needs. By listening to your feelings, you can identify if you're giving excessively and emotionally exhausting yourself, allowing you to adjust your focus and find a healthy balance. How do you feel when you help others? Thinking about yourself and prioritizing others is an altruistic act that should make you feel like you're walking on clouds. If you feel overwhelmed, drained, angry, or used, it's time to listen to your feelings. If something to which you have no obligation causes you so much discomfort, it's necessary not to deceive yourself to discover how the help you're providing affects your well-being. Strategy number 2. Lose the fear of the word no. Following Stoic teachings, recognize that your time and energy are valuable and must be consciously and balancedly allocated. Saying no in situations where you feel overwhelmed or when the request is unfair is a way to exercise self-control. Though the word no is associated with negative behavior and pessimism, it's normal for us to struggle with saying it. However, negativity will dominate our lives if we don't develop the ability to say this word when someone demands more than we can give. Practice in front of the mirror, and convince yourself that it's the only way to regain your freedom and avoid unnecessary and potential risks.